The first signals came silently, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. From the edge of the Solari expanse, alien warships appeared like dark shadows drifting through the stars. They were massive, sleek, and merciless, their metal surfaces shimmering with an eerie green glow. Nobody knew their origin. Nobody knew their purpose. All that mattered was the fact that they were coming straight for humanity. On the command deck of the Celestial Dawn, Admiral Rhea Vallon stared at the main viewport. Her hands were clenched around the railing, knuckles white. The alien fleet moved with perfect coordination, like a single organism rather than thousands of independent ships. Her mind raced. "They've declared war," she whispered, her voice trembling. "And they think they can win." In the colonies on Kepler, 421b, panic spread faster than fire. People abandoned their homes, scrambling for underground shelters. Trade stations were evacuated in chaos. Families were torn apart as fear took hold. Yet, amidst the terror, a small group of humans prepared. They were the Deathworlders, the ones the galaxy had underestimated for centuries, and they knew something the aliens didn't. Survival wasn't just a skill. It was a way of life. Rhea activated the communications array, sending a message to every fleet and colony in human space. "This is not a drill. The enemy is here, and they mean to destroy us. Gather your forces. Prepare for battle. Fight, or we will all die." The transmission ended with a static-filled silence, but somewhere in the emptiness of space, the words resonated. Meanwhile, on the surface of Draxus Prime, Lieutenant Kale Morn crouched behind a shattered wall, watching alien drones sweep the area. The air smelled of burning metal and ozone, the sky cracked with distant explosions. Kale's unit had been sent ahead to observe, to buy time for evacuation efforts. They were outnumbered 10-1, but Kale didn't feel fear. He felt anticipation. "They don't understand," Kale muttered, his eyes scanning the alien machines. "They don't know what humans can do." A low hum grew louder, vibrating through the ground. The drones stopped moving for a moment, as if sensing something, then charged forward with sudden speed. Kale fired, his rifle spitting bursts of plasma, hitting one drone after another. The others adapted instantly, shifting their attack patterns, but Kale's squad was ready. Humans were fast, unpredictable, and capable of improvisation in ways the aliens could not predict. Back on the Celestial Dawn, Rhea's strategic officers gathered around holographic displays showing the positions of the alien fleets. "Admiral," said Commander Yarrick, his voice tight, "our ships can't hold them. If they push through, every colony in this sector will fall within days." Rhea shook her head. "Then we make them regret underestimating us. Humanity survives because we adapt. They attack with fire and steel, we respond with cunning and heart. Let them come." In the orbital station above Mars, scientists worked frantically to prepare new weapons. Plasma cannons, gravity disruptors, and energy shields were rushed into deployment. Yet even with all their technology, everyone knew that the true advantage lay not in machines, but in human resilience. The aliens were methodical, precise, deadly, but they had never faced creatures who thrived on impossible odds. Hours later, the first skirmish erupted above the asteroid belt near Jupiter. Alien ships darted through the debris field with terrifying speed, but human fighters used the rocks as cover, striking from unexpected angles. Explosions lit the void in flashes of green and orange. Kale watched the battle from his dropship, feeling the familiar thrill of chaos. Humans were outmatched in sheer power, but they were never outmatched in spirit. Then came the message that shook the galaxy. The aliens, through intercepted communications, broadcasted a chilling warning to humanity: submit or be destroyed. Resistance is futile. Rhea's lips curved into a small, defiant smile. "They don't understand," she said. Her eyes gleamed with fire. "We are Deathworlders. This is what we were born for." On Draxus Prime, Kale led his team through collapsing buildings, setting traps for the advancing drones. Every corner held danger, every shadow was a potential enemy, but humans had learned to turn danger into opportunity. One by one, the alien machines fell, their strategies unraveling in the face of human ingenuity. As night fell across the war-torn colonies, a single truth became clear: humanity would not surrender. The aliens had declared war, thinking it would be easy. But humans had survived worse: plagues, famines, cosmic storms, and endless enemies. Deathworlders adapted, fought, and endured. And they were just getting started. Somewhere in the darkness of space, the alien commanders sensed it too: the inexplicable, relentless resistance of humans. They did not know yet why we are called Deathworlders. They were about to learn. The morning sun barely reached the horizon of Kepler 421b, its pale light struggling through the thick clouds of dust and smoke. The colonies were quiet, almost eerily so. But silence in a war zone was never a good sign. Lieutenant Cale Morn and his squad moved cautiously through the ruined streets, scanning every shadow. The alien drones had retreated for now, but Cale knew it was only temporary. "They're studying us," he said, his voice low. "Every move we make, every trick we use, they're learning." His partner, Sergeant Lyra Chen, adjusted her rifle, eyes sharp. "Then we give them lessons they'll never forget," she replied. Above them, the sky vibrated with distant energy blasts. The alien fleet was still out there, circling the colonies like hungry predators. From orbit, massive warships released smaller strike craft, probing human defenses. But humans had something no alien could anticipate: unpredictability. On the Celestial Dawn, Admiral Rhea Vallon was reviewing battle reports. Communication lines from the front were sparse, filled with static and fear. Yet every report told the same story: humans were holding their ground, sometimes against impossible odds. The aliens attacked with overwhelming force, but their precision was met with human ingenuity. Mines detonated in patterns that disrupted alien formations. Plasma traps hidden in asteroid fields turned the attackers' strength against them. Rhea's fingers hovered over the command panel. "They don't expect humans to fight like this," she muttered. "And they won't forgive their mistakes soon enough." Meanwhile, Cale's team stumbled upon an alien research outpost hidden in the ruins of an old industrial sector. It was a strange structure, sleek and glowing, completely unlike human architecture. Cale crouched beside the entrance, studying the alien glyphs carved into its surface. "This isn't just a warship," he said. "They're studying us, cataloging our weaknesses." Lyra glanced at him, frowning. "Then we destroy it. Leave them nothing to learn." Cale nodded. They moved with precision, silently planting explosive charges along the structure's support beams. The drones patrolling nearby seemed cautious, almost hesitant, as if sensing the humans' intent. And then, with a sudden burst of fire, the charges detonated. The alien outpost collapsed in a cascade of sparks and smoke. Drones scrambled to respond, but it was too late. The humans had vanished into the maze of ruined streets, leaving confusion and destruction behind. From orbit, the alien commanders could only watch. Their calculations had not predicted this level of improvisation. Humanity was more dangerous than they imagined. On another front, in the asteroid belt near Jupiter, a squadron of human fighters engaged in a daring ambush. They wove between massive rocks, their small ships darting like lightning. Alien strike craft poured fire toward them, but the humans used the debris as shields, launching counterattacks that tore through alien formations. Captain Alara Voss, leading the squadron, laughed as her fighter spun through a volley of energy blasts. "They never learn," she shouted over the comms. "They think strength wins wars. But we've got more than strength, we've got brains." Back on Kepler 421b, Cale's squad received an urgent transmission from the command center. The aliens had intensified their attacks. They had deployed a new type of warship, larger and faster, with weapons capable of obliterating entire districts in seconds. Panic rippled through the colonies. Civilians scrambled for cover, and even seasoned soldiers felt the pressure. Cale clenched his jaw. "We don't run. We fight. That's what Deathworlders do." The squad set traps along narrow alleyways, using the ruined buildings as natural defenses. When the new alien warships appeared on the horizon, they were met with a relentless barrage of improvised explosives, plasma turrets, and human cunning. One by one, the alien vessels faltered. It was not a perfect victory, but it was enough to slow the invasion. Above, Admiral Rhea watched the battle unfold on the holographic map. "Every victory we claim is a lesson for them," she said. "They'll come back stronger. We must be ready, stronger than they can imagine." In the aftermath of the skirmish, Kale stood among the rubble, looking at the burning remains of the alien warships. His squad was battered but alive. "They thought declaring war on humanity would be easy," he said quietly. "They don't know yet why we're called Deathworlders." A shadow passed over him, a massive alien dropship descending from orbit. Its presence was heavy, threatening, unlike anything they had faced before. Kale felt a chill, knowing that the next battle would push humans to the very edge of survival. And yet, deep inside, he felt the familiar fire of determination. Humans never gave up. Humans never surrendered. Somewhere across the colonies, in every settlement, in every battlefield, that same spirit burned. Deathworlders fought not because they were stronger, but because they refused to die. And now, the galaxy would learn a lesson it would never forget. Never underestimate humanity. The sky above Kepler 421b was a battlefield painted with fire and smoke. Alien warships, larger and faster than anything humans had faced before, tore through the atmosphere like living nightmares. Their weapons ignited the clouds, and thunderous explosions shook the ground. But the colonies were not silent. Humans were fighting back, refusing to bow to the invaders. Lieutenant Kale Morn crouched behind a crumbling wall, his rifle smoking from the latest engagement. His squad had been pushing forward all day, striking at alien patrols, setting traps, and rescuing civilians trapped in the ruins. Sweat and dust covered his face, but his eyes burned with determination. "They think numbers win wars," he muttered. "They don't know what humans can do in their worst moments." Elsewhere, Captain Alara Voss led a squadron of fighters through a dense asteroid field. The new alien warships were faster and smarter than before, but humans thrived in chaos. They weaved between massive rocks, dodging energy blasts, and striking with surgical precision. Each human maneuver was unpredictable, impossible for the aliens to fully anticipate. Back on the Celestial Dawn, Admiral Rhea Valen stared at the holographic displays. Alien fleets were converging from multiple sectors. "They're trying to crush us before we adapt fully," she said, her voice calm but firm. "But they forget, we've survived worse. Humanity does not break." The first full-scale engagement began above the ruins of New Terra, one of the largest colonies in human space. Alien ships formed a blockade, cutting off escape routes, while ground forces mobilized to strike. But humans had already laid their plans. Mines, plasma turrets, and hidden cannons waited in strategic positions. Every ruined street became a trap, every canyon a killing zone. Kale's squad moved swiftly, guiding civilians toward shelters while engaging alien drones. They worked as a single unit, moving with a coordination that came from years of surviving hostile worlds. One drone fell to a plasma trap, another was shredded by an improvised missile. The aliens adjusted, but humans adapted faster. Suddenly, the ground shook as a massive alien warship descended, its shadow swallowing entire city blocks. It released dozens of smaller drones, each one faster and deadlier than the last. Kale's squad opened fire, but the drones were relentless. One of them skidded past his defense line, its energy cannon firing a beam that sliced through a nearby building. Dust and rubble rained down, but Kale's squad survived. "They're testing us," Lyra Chen shouted over the chaos. "They want to see how far we'll go." Kale nodded, his face grim. "Then we'll show them." He signaled his team to split into flanking positions. Using the ruined streets and hidden tunnels, they launched a counterattack. Explosions erupted as alien drones were caught off guard. Human ingenuity turned the battlefield into a deadly maze, where the enemy's strength became a liability. Above the battlefield, Alara's squadron engaged the alien capital ships. They darted between energy beams, striking at weak points revealed by human reconnaissance. One by one, The alien vessels faltered under coordinated attacks. Humans were not the strongest, but they were faster, smarter, and more relentless than any alien logic could anticipate. Meanwhile, on the Celestial Dawn, Rhea Vallon received a transmission from an unknown source. The message was simple, yet chilling: humanity is stronger than we imagined. You may survive this encounter, but not the next. Rhea's eyes narrowed. Let them come. We've survived every challenge the universe has thrown at us. And we will survive this one too. On the ground, Kale and his team faced the largest wave yet. Alien war machines, towering over buildings, unleashed devastating firepower. Humans scrambled to find cover, but Kale noticed something in their movement patterns. The aliens relied on repetition, expecting humans to respond the same way every time. Kale grinned. Time to change the rules, he whispered. Using a combination of traps, decoys, and guerrilla tactics, Kale's squad turned the tide. Alien machines stumbled into hidden explosives, drones collided with each other, and the massive warship overhead was forced to retreat after sustaining heavy damage. Human ingenuity and sheer determination had won another day. As the dust settled, the battlefield was a mixture of smoke, fire, and silence. Civilians emerged from hiding, staring at the destruction and the few remaining alien survivors fleeing back to orbit. Kale stood among them, battered and exhausted, but proud. They thought humanity was weak, he said quietly. They don't know what it means to be a Deathworlder. Above, the stars shimmered with the light of distant battles yet to come. Humans had survived today, but the war was far from over. Still, one thing was certain: any enemy who dared to declare war on humanity would soon learn the hard way that we are relentless, adaptable, and impossible to destroy. And somewhere in the shadows of space, alien commanders whispered in disbelief, trying to understand a truth they could not yet accept. Humanity was not just surviving, they were thriving. And Deathworlders always fight to the last breath. The war had reached a new level. Entire planets were becoming battlefields, and humanity's colonies were stretched to their limits. Alien warships now controlled the skies over multiple systems, and their ground forces were relentless, sweeping across cities and mining settlements alike. Yet, even in the face of overwhelming odds, humans refused to surrender. Lieutenant Kale Morn and his squad were deployed to the planet Virelia, a mining world rich in rare minerals. The aliens had already begun their assault, bombing key facilities and enslaving automated mining drones to hunt humans. Kale's team moved swiftly through the rugged terrain, using tunnels and natural caverns to stay ahead of the enemy. Every corner of the planet had been turned into a trap, every valley a killing zone. Humans were few, but they were deadly. They've got more firepower than anything we faced, Sergeant Lyra Chen said, her voice tight as they surveyed a massive alien walker patrolling the valley. Its legs were like towers, its weapons capable of leveling an entire village. Kale nodded, scanning the terrain. Then we give them a reason to fear us. He crouched beside a pile of explosives scavenged from abandoned facilities. With careful precision, they rigged the valley floor, using rocks and natural formations to amplify the blast. Above the planet, human fighters darted between alien capital ships. Captain Alara Voss led her squad in daring maneuvers, weaving through energy fire and striking at weak points the aliens never expected. Every hit caused confusion, slowing the aliens' advance. Humans were nimble, clever, and terrifyingly unpredictable. On the surface, Kale's trap was set. As the massive alien walker approached, the squad detonated the explosives. The ground erupted in a deafening roar, throwing the machine off balance. It toppled over, crushing smaller drones beneath its legs. Alien commanders watching from orbit were stunned. Their calculations had failed. Humans had turned the battlefield itself into a weapon. Meanwhile, Admiral Rhea Vallon coordinated multiple fronts from the Celestial Dawn. Her fleet moved in perfect sync, harassing alien supply lines and protecting retreating colonies. She knew that even small victories mattered. Every destroyed alien ship, every thwarted assault was proof that humanity could adapt to anything. But then came the warning. The aliens were sending a massive strike force, larger than anything seen before, toward the core human systems. Their intention was clear: annihilation. Panic rippled through the colonies. Civilians fled, soldiers prepared for what seemed like certain death, and even seasoned leaders felt the weight of the enemy's power. Kale's comms crackled. Command center to Kale squad, Virelia may fall. Evacuate civilians immediately. Kale gritted his teeth. We don't run. We protect them. That's what Deathworlders do. Using a combination of tunnels, decoys, and strategic ambushes, Kale's squad held the aliens back just long enough for evacuation shuttles to take off. Explosions shook the caverns as alien machines advanced, but humans fought with a ferocity that stunned their enemies. One by one, squads from nearby settlements joined in, turning the resistance into a united front. Above the planet, Captain Voss led her squadron in a daring plan. They drew the alien strike fleet into an asteroid field, using the massive rocks as cover. The aliens fired relentlessly, but the human pilots used every trick they knew, looping maneuvers, decoy flares, and sudden dives, to disable ships one by one. Chaos reigned, and yet humanity controlled it. As night fell over Virelia, the planet was scarred with craters, smoke, and fire. Yet humans still stood. Kale surveyed the battlefield, exhausted but alive. Civilians were safe, and alien forces had been dealt a significant blow. They thought they could crush us, Kale said, looking toward the horizon where the last alien ships fled to orbit. They don't know yet what it means to face Deathworlders. In orbit, Admiral Rhea Vallon observed the remnants of the alien fleet retreating. Today we survived, she said quietly. Tomorrow, we fight again. And every time, they will learn a little more about what it means to face humanity. Somewhere deep in space, alien commanders convened. Their reports were grim. Humans were unpredictable, resilient, and deadly in ways they could not calculate. They had underestimated the most dangerous species in the galaxy. They had declared war on Deathworlders, and the galaxy had begun to understand why humans were feared across star systems. Kale's squad regrouped, readying themselves for the next battle. Supplies were low, injuries high, but spirits unbroken. Humans were not machines. They were fighters, survivors, and innovators. And as long as even one human stood, the aliens would never claim victory. And so, the war raged on. Planets burned, fleets clashed, and Deathworlders adapted faster than their enemies could comprehend. Humanity had survived against impossible odds before, and it would survive again. For they were not just a species, they were a force the universe had never truly measured, and every enemy who dared to challenge them would learn the hard way that Deathworlders never die quietly. The humans had survived countless attacks, but the aliens were relentless. Every victory felt temporary, every hour of peace a fragile illusion. Yet, humanity refused to retreat. Across the colonies, a single thought united soldiers and civilians alike. The fight was far from over, and the galaxy would remember what it meant to face Deathworlders. Lieutenant Kale Morn stood on a cliff overlooking the ruins of Virelia. Smoke spiraled into the sky, and distant fires still burned, but the people below were safe. Evacuation shuttles carried civilians to orbiting stations, leaving Kale's squad behind to slow any alien pursuit. They're smart, he said, eyes scanning the horizon. They'll be back with more firepower. But we'll be ready. Sergeant Lyra Chen loaded her rifle, her expression grim. They think their numbers scare us. They don't understand. Deathworlders never run. We fight. Above, human fleets assembled. Admiral Rhea Vallon coordinated a daring plan, a counteroffensive targeting the heart of the alien armada. Intelligence suggested the aliens had a central command vessel, massive, heavily shielded, and nearly unstoppable. Destroying it could cripple the invasion. But reaching it meant entering a gauntlet of enemy fire. Captain Alara Voss led the strike squadron through the void, weaving between debris and enemy patrols. Her voice crackled over the comms. Stay sharp. This isn't a fight, they expect us to fail. But we're Deathworlders. Failure isn't in our nature. On the ground, Kale's team prepared traps and ambushes along likely alien landing routes. Explosives were set, plasma turrets positioned, and decoys placed to mislead enemy forces. The humans didn't have overwhelming firepower, but they had the advantage of strategy, knowledge of the terrain, and an unbreakable will. The attack began at dawn. Alien warships emerged from warp, massive shadows casting darkness over the colonies below. Energy beams lit up the atmosphere, and explosions shook the ground. Kale's squad moved like ghosts, striking at landing troops and sabotaging machinery. Drones fell into hidden traps, alien soldiers were lured into ambushes, and the battlefield turned into chaos that only humans could control. In orbit, Captain Voss's squadron dodged and weaved through alien fire. One by one, they disabled smaller warships, forcing the enemy to concentrate on defense rather than attack. Alara's fighter danced between energy blasts, her team's precision striking with deadly accuracy. The human pilots' unpredictability made them nearly impossible to destroy. Back on Virilia, Kale noticed something disturbing. Alien reinforcements were different this time. They moved with a coordinated efficiency that went beyond normal tactics, avoiding traps and countering ambushes with frightening speed. "They've learned," he said quietly. "They're adapting faster than ever." Lyra's eyes widened. "Then we have to be smarter." Kale nodded. Using decoy squads, hidden explosives, and rapid maneuvers, they managed to slow the alien advance just enough to protect the evacuation shuttles. Every second counted. Every human life mattered. And Deathworlders never left anyone behind. Meanwhile, Admiral Ria's fleet had reached the alien command vessel. It was enormous, its hull bristling with weapons, energy shields flickering like living flames. The strike squadron weaved through its defenses, targeting weak points identified from previous encounters. The humans' approach was risky, almost suicidal, but it worked. One by one, critical systems failed, and the massive vessel shuddered as explosions rippled through its core. Kale's squad cheered as ground communications confirmed the vessel's destruction. The alien forces faltered, their coordination breaking down. Across the colonies, surviving human units launched counterattacks, reclaiming lost territory and turning the tide of battle. But as the humans celebrated, a chilling realization struck them. The alien fleet was not defeated, just delayed. From deep space, massive reinforcements were already moving toward human space, faster than any fleet before. The war was far from over. Kale looked to the horizon, his face hard but resolute. "They thought we were weak. They thought we would break. They still don't understand. We are Deathworlders. And we always fight." Admiral Ria Valen activated long-range sensors, scanning for incoming fleets. "Prepare everyone," she said. "They'll be here soon. And when they arrive, we will show them exactly why humanity survives against impossible odds." On every planet, in every colony, humans prepared for the next stage of war. They were tired, battered, and scarred, but unbroken. Across the stars, the legend of the Deathworlders grew. Aliens who once thought humanity would crumble now whispered in fear about what was coming. They had declared war on humanity, but the galaxy was beginning to understand a terrible truth. Fighting humans was a mistake they would never forget. And somewhere in the darkness of space, the alien commanders realized the same thing that humans already knew. Survival, cunning, and unyielding spirit made Deathworlders unstoppable. The galaxy held its breath. Across multiple systems, humans had struck back, slowing the alien invasion and reclaiming lost worlds. Yet the aliens were not finished. From deep space, an armada unlike anything humanity had faced emerged. Massive, heavily armed, and moving with terrifying precision. It was no longer just war. It was an extermination campaign. Lieutenant Kale Morn and his squad watched from the cliffs of Virilia. The ground shook as alien landing crafts descended, carrying unknown technologies. Kale felt the familiar thrill of battle, but deeper now, a pulse of caution. "This isn't just another attack," he said. "They've changed. They've evolved." Sergeant Lyra Chen checked her weapons. "We adapt faster," she said firmly. "Deathworlders never die without leaving a mark." Above, human fleets formed battle lines around key colonies. Admiral Ria Valen scanned the incoming armada. The sheer size of it was staggering. Hundreds of capital ships, thousands of drones, and new war machines that emitted an almost living energy. "This is it," she said quietly. "They want to end us. But they've forgotten one thing: humans survive." Captain Elara Voss led the strike squadron toward the heart of the armada. Her voice crackled over the comms, calm and commanding. "Stick to the plan. We hit their command ships first, disrupt their coordination, and create openings for ground forces. And remember, Deathworlders never give up." On the ground, Kale's squad prepared traps unlike any before. They had spent months analyzing alien technology, learning weaknesses, and turning the environment into a weapon. Explosives lined canyon walls, energy disruptors hid in ruined buildings, and decoys scattered across likely paths. Every step the aliens took was planned, every counterattack calculated. The first wave struck. Alien drones swarmed the planet like a living storm, their energy beams scorching the terrain. Kale's squad launched ambushes from concealed positions. Mines detonated, drones crashed into traps, and alien war machines stumbled. The humans moved with terrifying precision, turning chaos into strategy. From orbit, Captain Voss's squadron struck the command vessels. Massive energy blasts tore through alien shields, crippling their coordination. Smaller ships panicked, crashing into each other as humans exploited every weakness. "Keep pushing," Elara shouted. "We're not just fighting, we're teaching them why humans survive." But then came the revelation that changed everything. Sensors detected massive alien transports emerging from hidden warp gates. They carried something new: living biomachines, creatures engineered for war, blending organic and mechanical forms. These were designed to adapt, learn, and eliminate threats with frightening efficiency. Kale's squad stared at the incoming wave. "They've brought monsters," he muttered. "Not machines. Monsters." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Then we show them humans are better." The ground battle turned into a deadly dance. Humans used every trick they knew: ambushes, traps, improvised explosives, even the terrain itself, to fight the biomachines. Each enemy killed revealed a new adaptation in the next wave. The creatures were smart, relentless, and terrifying. Yet humans had something they did not: unpredictability, courage, and the unyielding will to survive. Meanwhile, Admiral Rhea coordinated orbital strikes. The fleet targeted warp gates and alien supply lines, slowing reinforcements. She realized the aliens' ultimate goal was not conquest, it was eradication. But humans had learned a key lesson: when pushed to the edge, Deathworlders fight beyond reason, beyond logic. They survive. Kale led his squad in a bold maneuver. Using a narrow canyon, they funneled the biomachines into a trap, detonating a series of charges that collapsed the walls and buried dozens of creatures alive. The survivors fled, confused and damaged. Human ingenuity had turned the invincible into the vulnerable. Above, Captain Voss's squadron completed a coordinated strike on the alien command vessel. Explosions ripped through its core, disabling the remaining alien warships. For a moment, silence fell over the battlefield. Humanity had won this engagement, but everyone knew the war was far from over. Kale surveyed the field, battered and exhausted. Civilians were safe, and alien forces had been dealt a crushing blow. "They thought extermination was simple," he said quietly. "They didn't know what it meant to face Deathworlders." Admiral Rhea Vallon activated long-range sensors. "Prepare for the next wave," she said, calm but determined. "They'll come again. But so will we. And every time, the universe will see why humanity survives against impossible odds." Across the colonies, a single truth resonated: humans were more than survivors. They were fighters, innovators, and unbreakable spirits. And any alien foolish enough to declare war on Deathworlders would learn, sooner or later, that humanity never dies quietly. In the shadows of space, alien commanders realized their calculations had failed. Humans were not predictable, not weak, not fragile. They were relentless. They adapted, they survived, and they fought with a fury that no machine, no creature, no alien intelligence could ever fully anticipate. And in that moment, the galaxy began to understand a terrifying truth. Humans were not just another species, they were Deathworlders, and fighting them came at a price no one could afford to pay. The stars burned bright with war. Across the galaxy, human fleets and alien armadas clashed in a symphony of fire, explosions, and chaos. For months, humanity had survived impossible odds, repelling attacks that no other species could withstand. Yet this battle would be different. The aliens were sending their ultimate forces, determined to crush humanity once and for all. Lieutenant Kale Morn stood on the bridge of a makeshift command station on Virilia. Around him, his squad prepared for one final engagement. Civilians had been evacuated, supply lines secured, and traps set across the planet. Kale's eyes scanned the horizon as the alien armada appeared, massive and ominous, their hulls bristling with weapons unlike anything humans had seen. "They've brought everything," Sergeant Lyra Chen said quietly. "Every ship, every machine, every bio-creature. They want us gone." Kale clenched his fists. "Then we show them why humans are called Deathworlders." Above, Admiral Rhea Valen coordinated the fleets. The Celestial Dawn led the strike force, weaving through enemy fire to target the alien command vessel. Captain Alara Voss's squadron darted between massive ships, striking weak points with unmatched precision. Every maneuver was calculated, yet improvisation and human unpredictability kept the aliens off balance. The ground forces engaged simultaneously. Kale's squad activated the final traps, canyons rigged to collapse, plasma turrets concealed in ruined buildings, energy disruptors placed along every likely path. As alien war machines advanced, humans struck from every angle, turning the battlefield into a deadly maze where the strongest, fastest, or most terrifying enemies could be neutralized. But then came the shock. The alien command vessel deployed a massive new weapon, a planet-buster cannon capable of leveling cities in seconds. The humans had little time. Evacuation shuttles were ready, but Kale refused to leave the planet defenseless. "They can't destroy us," Kale said, voice firm. "Not while we stand." Using a daring plan, Kale's squad lured the alien war machines into a canyon trap. Explosives detonated, collapsing the terrain and destroying dozens of machines. Above, human fighter squadrons distracted the command vessel, drawing its attention away from the planet's surface. One by one, small but critical systems on the vessel were destroyed, weakening the alien armada. Admiral Rhea Valen knew the moment had come. She ordered a coordinated assault. The human fleet struck in perfect unison, targeting shields, engines, and weapons. Explosions tore through alien ships as energy beams collided in a massive display of light. Humanity's ingenuity, strategy, and courage were overwhelming the alien forces. Inside the command vessel, alien commanders panicked. Their calculations had failed. Their perfect plan was collapsing before their eyes. Humans were adaptive, relentless, and unpredictable. No machine, no bio-creature, no strategy could anticipate the ferocity of Deathworlders. Kale led a final strike team to the surface of the alien command vessel. Using captured shuttles, they boarded the enemy flagship. Inside, they fought through corridors filled with alien soldiers and biomachines, moving with precision and deadly efficiency. Kale placed explosives on critical systems, then signaled retreat. The charges detonated, ripping through the vessel's core. Above, the alien armada shuddered. Energy shields collapsed, weapons exploded, and ships plummeted into the void. The remaining alien forces, leaderless and demoralized, retreated in disarray. Humanity had turned the tide. Kale stepped out onto the surface of Virilia, looking up at the stars. The sky was littered with wreckage, but humans were still standing. Civilians cheered, soldiers embraced, and somewhere in the void, alien commanders realized they had underestimated the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Admiral Rhea Valen's voice came over the comms. "Today, humanity survives. Today, we show the galaxy what it means to be Deathworlders. We adapt. We endure. We fight. And we never die quietly." Kale nodded, feeling the weight of every battle, every loss, and every victory. Humans had faced extermination and emerged stronger. They had survived against enemies that should have destroyed them, and in doing so, proved the truth of their name. The aliens, now scattered and defeated, would remember this day. They had declared war on humanity, thinking it would be easy. But they had learned the hard way why we are called Deathworlders. Humanity was not just surviving, it was thriving, relentless, and impossible to destroy. Across the galaxy, humans repaired their worlds, rebuilt their fleets, and honored those who had fallen. And in the shadows, other civilizations whispered in awe and fear about the species that refused to die. Kale looked at the horizon, where the first rays of sunlight touched the ruins of battlefields. "We fight," he said softly. "We survive. We endure. And we always will." Somewhere in the depths of space, alien commanders plotted, but they knew the truth. No one, no force, could ever truly break humanity. Deathworlders adapted, survived, and rose stronger with every challenge. The galaxy had learned a lesson it would never forget: humanity is unstoppable. And so, the war ended for now. But the legend of the Deathworlders lived on, a story of courage, resilience, and the unyielding spirit of a species that refused to bow, even in the face of annihilation.